This particular progression, if you have not mastered the first step, do not move on to the next step. It is very, very, very important, and it is going to be the key to you succeeding and being safe while doing these different tricks. If you have not mastered the first step or one step, don't go on to the next. Fix the first one and then move on. It is very important that you fully understand how and why we do the progression we do, and understand the steps in order to get our horse to bow, lay down, and sit up. This can be a little bit of a more dangerous thing that we do, so if you are struggling or do not understand or do not quite fully get why we do some of these things we do, you should go to a professional, ask them, get some help. This is very, very important. Unless you are 100% confident, do not do this. So as I go through this next progression, we're going to talk about some of the things that may go wrong. And I'm going to give you a checklist to make sure that you're ready to move to the next step. Now I would like to introduce you to my pony Puddles. Puddles is a Welsh quarter horse pony cross, and today he will be helping me demonstrate these progressions. The first thing we need to do is acclimate them to the whip. We want to be able to touch them with the whip and not have them dancing around going crazy. We also want to make sure that we can control and make sure that we can walk them forward straight, back them up straight, and also move them side to side, as we did in the sensory video. Now, if your horse does not know how to stand quietly and stand still, you shouldn't even be thinking about trying to teach your horse to do the bow, lay down, and sit up. Your horse truly needs to be able to stand calmly and quietly. Your horse needs to be able to go forward on command, backward on command, and straighten themselves out side to side on command. That is very, very important. So now we're going to go through some exercises. Now, whenever we talk about getting your horse acclimated to our whip, we want to be able to rub our horse all over with the whip, underneath their belly, down their legs, over their rump, down their back legs, without them going crazy, just like this. We want to make sure that they are comfortable and do not mind. Good boy. Your whip is simply an extension of your hand, and your horse should not be spooking when you go to use your whip. Now let's real quickly make sure we have control to our all four directions. Your horse should be able to walk forward and stop, walk backwards and stop, move their haunch to the left, and move their haunch to the right. Walk forward straight and stop. Back up straight and stop. Move their haunch to the left, to the right. Stop straight. Walk forward straight. Stop and move their haunch to the left. And stop. So before we get started, we want to make sure that we can control a horse in those four directions. If you're having a little problem, I suggest that you practice along the wall. So let me show you what that looks like. Come on, Puddles. Walk straight and stop. Back up and stop. No. And if you haven't figured it out already, Toby and Puddles are best buds. Right, guys? He's kind of in the way. Come on, Toby. Come on, go eat. Go eat. Go eat. Go. So need to be able to walk forward and stop. Then we need to back up, back up, back up, back up, and stop. Walk forward, and stop, and then move the haunches. Oh my. And stop. Walk forward. And stop. Move the haunches the other direction. And stop. And walk them forward in a reward. The next step of this progression is to lift the leg on cue. Now, the biggest problem that people have with this progression is their horse is not standing quietly. Your horse needs to be standing quietly and politely. The second biggest problem that people have working on this step is they use too much force to ask to pick up the leg. When you're asking or tapping your horse's foot to ask them to pick up the leg, you tap gently, almost as an irritation. You just continuously tap until they pick up the leg. And as soon as they pick it up, you stop and reward. And you walk them forward, saying, "Good boy, that's what I'm looking for." Making sure that you always reward for what you're asking for. So let me demonstrate. Once again, we'll use the wall because it can limit the directions they will move. So we walk them forward, getting them nice and straight. We ask them to halt. Now, it's very important that we can stand by their shoulder. This is going to be key whenever we start to ask them to bow and lay down. We want to be able that we can stand by their shoulders and they stand quietly and patiently. So now, what's very, very important also here is that we let our horse see the whip. We bring our whip all the way up here and then ask them to pick up the leg. If we just start tapping the leg, they don't have an opportunity to pick it up, which is going to cause some problems once we start to lay our horses down. So big whip up here so they can see that the whip is coming. We use our verbal cues. For our end result, all we want to have to do is take our finger, because our whip is the extension of our hand, and ask them to bow and then come down on the knee. But we have to start off by using our cues consistently and clearly. So we take our whip back here so they can see it coming. Use their name, Puddles, bow. First touch the leg and then slightly continue to tap until they pick up that leg. And then walk them forward as a release, as a reward. Also, at this stage, it's good to introduce the word all right. All right being the word saying, "Good boy, continue out of the trick. You are being very good." Come on, baby. So we walk them up against the wall. Ask them to stand quietly. Let us go down to their shoulder, making sure that we always stay at their shoulder. It's going to be very, very key. It's going to be the key to us being safe when we actually lay our horse down. Making sure we peg our whip all the way up so they can see it coming, so they have an opportunity to lift up the leg. Use their name and our verbal cues, Puddles, bow. Touch the leg to start, and then slightly tap until the horse picks up their leg. And then we walk them forward and reward, saying, "Good boy." So when we put it all together, before we move on to our next step, we want to be able to come back to the shoulder, have them stand,